to the studio review for chapter 20. This one's called Making Headlines, and the goal of this is to get accustomed to working with the developer tools that are built into the browser while you're developing a web page. Now, we're not actually going to be building a web page. We're just going to go and do a temporary edit on an existing web page out there. You can choose anything you want. We're actually going to use Firefox for this. Ordinarily, I use Chrome. That's actually what this window is right here. But it's very, very similar. So during lecture, I illustrate Chrome, but for the studio, we will be using Firefox, and that way you'll get a chance to see how it works in different browsers. We will be inspecting HTML elements and modifying some of their values. We change the text on the page, change out a picture, and then maybe even mess with the styling a little bit, and get a sense of, how it is that you can use these tools to get used to understanding what parts of the page are what. And this can be very valuable for your experience as a developer when you're working on your own pages. The other thing that they want us to take a look at here is the difference between the content you see when you just use view source versus what you see in the inspector tab of the developer tools. And there is documentation for Firefox's developer tools here linked if you would like to look at that. But you can pick a site, like a news site, New York Times, that's actually what I'm going to use as well. And then modify one of the articles and change out a picture and change out some of the text. They do have a little note here to have fun with it, but be respectful and avoid critical political or social commentary. And most people just choose to something really silly and funny. So they have an example here where they talk about LaunchCode is to launch a new astronaut training program, and they've got a picture of Kevin here in a silly little plastic helmet, and change some of these little text, lines here. So we're going to do something similar to that. And you can do anything you want. So they talk about here about linking to an image and some of the things you'll have to pay attention to, like the protocol, whether it's secured or not with HTTP or HTTPS. They also talk about more resources for using the page inspector. And then a bonus mission, if you would like to add your own image, you can do that with something like Dropbox. There's also ways to do that with Google Drive. There are lots of options for you there. I'm going to keep this very straightforward and just do the main part of this studio for you really quickly. This will be short, and just show you the basics. So here's Firefox. I have opened it up to the science section, space and astronomy in particular, for the New York Times. And I've noticed that right here at the top, there's kind of this one, article that's being put up here across the top above all of these other smaller ones. And it looks a little bit small because this image is long and wide, but I'm actually going to change that out and make this whole section much bigger. So I'm just going to focus on this one section. I'm not going to try to change every single thing on the page. So let's see. The first thing to do is to open up the inspector. So there's a couple ways to do this. You can go to Tools here and go to Browser Tools and then choose Web Developer Tools. Or you can open it with a keyboard shortcut. On my Mac, that's going to be Option-Command-I. And on a PC, you would do Shift-Control-I. And that will just open up this entire panel. There are a lot of things going on here. And as we get further into this unit, you're going to learn how to use the JavaScript console and looking at the network tab over here. But we're going to focus today on Inspector. This is where, and on a Chrome would call this elements, but both of them are the same idea here, where you get to see the HTML. You can also see information about the styling with some CSS over here and a little bit about the layout. So we're going to focus first on the HTML, and you'll notice already that as I am moving my mouse across each of these elements here, things are highlighting on the page, right? And that tells me that I can, actually start exploring this and opening this up. And now, as I highlight different things, it's showing me different parts of the page. And So that's good. You can start to explore a little bit this way. However, these websites are big and they have a lot going on. Like there's the header, right? I'm starting to finally drill down here and get into smaller parts of the page, but it could take a long time for you to finally find exactly what you're looking for if you wanted to get to just this text by doing it this way. So they actually have this inspector tool right here. In this top left corner of the panel, you see this little thing that has the cursor on it. If you click that and it turns blue, you'll notice now when I hover over things on the page, they highlight, and I can click on that and then it will go straight to it in this tree here and show me where I can find that. And so if I expand this, I can see Comet Ponds Brooks is having its last hurrah. I found it. Okay. I can edit this. I can click right on that text and hit enter on my keyboard. And then I can start editing it if I would like to. And then I hit enter again to finish. The main thing that you want to be very, very careful of as you start to edit this thing is that you do not refresh the page accidentally, because as soon as you do, it goes all back to the original values and you're going to have to start over. So just be really careful. But we're going to do things like this. We're going to find different things on the page that we want to change and we'll edit them. Okay. I would like to start with the image, honestly, because I think that's going to be the most fun thing. So I'm going to click on the inspector tool again over here and go over and try to find this image. Now, I clicked on this. There's a lot of things here, and I'm going to actually have to drill down a little bit further. So if I look through this section, I actually see down here there's a figure, and you'll notice as I hover over it, it's highlighting that on the page now. So I'm definitely in the right area. I can expand that and come down here and I see the figure caption below, which doesn't appear. Oh, it says Elliot Herman. Okay, it is being used. It's just very small. But this is where the image is. There we go. So we have found the image tag and I can see here that there's a couple of sources. And in this particular, the way this is set up, I actually need to change the source set value, and that's going to change the picture for me. So I'm going to, I've already found a picture that I would like to use. I just put in cat astronaut because I thought this would be fun. And I found this beautiful picture of this cat. So I'm going to right click on this and say copy image link so that I can link directly to the image on the web. I'll come back over to this page and right here in the source, nope, I said I was going to do the source set, didn't I? There we go. So I've highlighted everything between the quotes there, and I'm just going to paste in. I'm going to do Command V on my Mac to paste in the link that I just copied from the other page, and I'm going to hit enter. And as soon as I do, there's my image. It's been updated now. Okay, so again, this is temporary. I'm certainly not changing anything on New York Times website. I am making this temporary change just for the sake of investigating how things might look different on the page with different values. So I have a picture. That's great. Now let's go back to this text. So I'm going to highlight the inspector tool again and point on that and get back to exactly where that text is. And I can put in a new headline and say NASA sends its first catanaut to space. Okay. And I hit enter and it updates. And now I want to do this one. So I'm going to use the inspector tool. Now, again, if I were to actually click on one of these accidentally as a link, it would take me to the next page and I would lose everything I'm done. Be very careful. Make sure this is highlighted and it's going to let you actually choose what you're looking for and show it to you down here rather than clicking on the link on the page. So it's showing me the same thing, which means I need to dig around a little bit here and find where, yes, so it's the next paragraph down. Okay. So I can double click and get into there and I'll start editing it. I'm going to say Marta, a highly intelligent feline catanaut, which I guess feline catanaut is a little bit redundant, isn't it? Was chosen for this groundbreaking mission to search for new worlds on which to knock things over and sit in boxes, because priorities for cats, right? Hit enter and it updates. Okay. And I have a byline here that I would like to edit. So I'm going to go find this. It's probably one of these spans right here. Let's see. It's probably the last one. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to put my own name. I'm going to make it formal. Caroline R. Jones. Okay. So I've updated that. What else can I do here? I could update the space and astronomy headline, since we are talking about cats going to space. Let's update this one to say space and astronomy muse instead of news. Okay. So space and astronomy muse, NASA sends its first catanaut to space, etc. So this, we now have changed just about everything here, the image, the text, right? We can actually play around now with the style if we would like to a little bit. So let's look at the way we can inspect these. And again, I'm being very careful not to click on the links. I'm going to use the inspector tool here and click on it to highlight it. And then over here, we see the CSS, and I can make sure that I'm applying, what I think I'm applying it to. So I'm going to say font size, and I'm going to set it to like 1.5 rem. See, that didn't change it very much. Let's try 2 rem. There we go. Okay. And I could change the line height and maybe make it like 1.2, like 120% maybe. Make it 1.4, space it out, that's too much. There we go. Okay, that looks a little better. And I could change the color if I wanted to. Why don't we change this to purple? Sure. Okay, so I have changed the color, the font size, and the line height there. What if I wanted to change the color of the border on the image? I could do that too. So I could come over here and I need to find that image again. It was down, see, where was the figure? The figure, and here's the image. Okay. So I've selected this. Now here I've got the element where I can add some CSS. So I'll say border and say 4 pixels, solid, purple. That's actually not very big. It's harder to see on the screen. Let's change it to 6 pixels. There we go. It's a little easier to see. Okay, so we've added a border to the image. And now we have our modified article here, where we've edited the content, we've edited the styling just a little bit, and that's how it's done. So before you finish this, make sure you take a screenshot of it and share it with your classmates. So I could, just do that, just kind of come here and say something like that, take my screenshot, and I will be able to save that for posterity or something. Okay, so that's the idea. And you can play around with this as much as you want to. You could continue to, go further down the page and change more things if you want to. And, you don't have to use the New York Times. You can use any website you want, really. Different ones are going to have different kind of levels of complexity with how you're looking for things. So you might just have to look around a little bit and figure out where things are. But this tool right here really will help you find exactly what you're looking for and make sure that you don't accidentally click on a link that's going to take you off of this page, and then you'll have to come back and start over. That's pretty important. The last thing is they did mention, let me unclick that they wanted to discuss this difference between using this type of panel to go in and inspect the elements versus just looking at the source. One of the things you can see if you go up into tools and browser tools is page source. Another way to get to this would be to right click on the page and say view page source. And it opens up a new tab and shows you a static document with all of the scripts and a bunch of HTML down here in the body. However, it doesn't look like it's very long. It's only 233 lines long. That's because some of these lines are like super long. If we scroll to the right, if I were to right click here and say wrap long lines, suddenly we can see just exactly how long they are. So there's a lot going on here where they just have a lot of things crammed onto single lines. And that's not how they originally wrote it and put it together. They probably did it with a framework and had it build it, bit by bit. But it's pretty hard to read, and you can't selectively go in and find what you're looking for very easily. So this could be useful for some things, but for actually looking at things section by section, you really are better using the inspector here, where you can collapse and expand these and kind of drill down in certain sections. You can use this tool to go and highlight what you're looking for and jump right to it, things like that. So that's pretty much the difference. Okay, I hope that this has been a fun little exercise for you. I have always really enjoyed this one. I will see you in the next one.